Hello everyone, my name is Jill Abbey-Mitten and I'm going to talk to you today in a very brief video, I'm hoping, a little bit more about the research that we started this year. Just going to share my screen with you. There we go. As you can see, we are investigating the psychological health and well-being of group members, variety of groups, and I'm pleased to say we've had a very wide variety of different groups that participants have defined as cultic. We're also going to be looking at other kinds of groups like church choirs or orchestras or music groups or social groups in the community and so on. But at the moment, we're focusing on former members of cultic groups. And you may have seen this advert on social media. I hope so, because I've been sharing it in lots of places. We made it pink because I thought it might be more eye-catching, but actually it's a little bit more difficult to read. So we've reverted to a white version. The next slide, you may have also seen before. We're talking about the goals. I don't know why I put on two slides there, but anyway, we're talking about our goals. And if you want to know more about these, I suggest you watch the podcast 115, the Get a Life podcast, that is. I have put the link in the comment section below. And we hope, this is the impact that we hope we will have. And in particular, perhaps this impact on lawmakers and policymakers and therapists, and providing information basically to anybody that needs it for your benefit. Now, we have had a few issues with the use of the survey, so I wanted to go through this with you. These links are here, but also in the section below, the link to the survey and the link to a paper that I gave in Barcelona this year, both of which will tell you a bit more about what we're trying to do. I just want to now share the survey itself, so as I can go through it a little bit with you. When you click on that link that I showed a moment ago, this is what you will see. This is called the participant information sheet. Just as an aside, it's very odd talking to people when they're not actually there. So please read through this very carefully. And if you've got any queries, down the bottom here, you will see my email address and the email addresses of my colleagues. Also on this page is the online consent form. No pitfalls up to now. I've already filled it in to save time. And it's just about really agreeing to participate and making sure that you're aware of how your data will be used and that it's completely confidential. So then you click on next. And then this page just checks you have the right, you fit the criteria. You need to be over 18 and you need to understand English. Now, this question is really pitfall number 1. Have you been diagnosed, or would you describe yourself as having a current serious or acute mental health condition? Now, 1 or 2 people have emailed me saying, I have been diagnosed with PTSD. Can I still do it? The decision is entirely yours. If you do have an acute mental health condition, we recommend you stop and think this through. You may become distressed as you answer the questionnaire. But if you do, you will be able to take a break, or you can just walk out and not do it at all. That's fine, whatever your decision is. But indicating no here is entirely your decision. If you indicate yes, I'm afraid you'll be kicked out. You can always start again, but if you want to continue, press no, click on no. Now, this is the second pitfall, taking a break. This seems to have caused a few people, not many, out of the 600 plus that we have now, it's perhaps a dozen people have had a problem here. In order to take a break, you click on the Finish Later button here. And what I recommend is that you take a screenshot of this message right now, because you may well need it later on. It tells you what to do. And I'm going to do it right now. Click on Finish Later, and what happens? A window open up. If it doesn't open up, then you need to try and click on Finish Later again, because it should open up. And there is a link here. Now, unfortunately, it's just the nature of survey platforms. The link is quite long and complicated. You need to be able to copy it and paste it somewhere safe, like in a Word document or somewhere like that. Two ways of copying it. You can click on there, but nothing happens. So you don't actually know until you try pasting it whether it's worked. I tend to do this. Then I know, but you need to be very careful that you've actually captured that final letter, because if you don't capture it, it will take you back to the beginning. It won't save your survey. You then copy that and paste it somewhere safe. And before you close your browser, make sure that what you've copied into a Word document or wherever, that it actually matches what I can see on the screen now. Now, obviously, for everybody, this is going to be a different URL, different letters in it. So make sure you've got that right. Okay. The next page is fairly self-explanatory here. But here we come across something that tells you, explains to you why we can't be absolutely certain how long it'll take you. Because if I had been a member of a second cultic group and therefore clicked on yes, as you can see, more questions open up. And if I was a member of a third cultic group, again, more questions open up. So that is why we can't give you a specific time that it will take you. And there are quite a few questions like that. That, I think, hasn't caused any problems. Now, there are a lot of biographic, demographics type information. We need this in some cases so that we can compare with other studies, but also so that we can figure out what factors are affecting a person's psychological well-being. So there are quite a few questions here. Carries on looking at education and whether you've asked for help from anybody. Then it asks you what countries were you born in, and whether you're still living in that country. Now, here's another question. Have you lived in a second country? I should click on yes there because I lived in Switzerland for a while. So, but again, you can see that if you click on that, you get more countries, you get more questions opening up and so on. Then it asks you what your ethnicity is and so on, carries on. And this is an important one. Please read these very carefully as to how you self-identify. I'm third generation, or actually multi-generation. But here is an important point. There's a text box. There are quite a few text boxes scattered throughout. So if you kind of suddenly think, oh, I really want to tell those researchers something, hit the next text box and let us know. And for your information, there is a text box on the final page before you hit submit. So there's plenty of spaces for you to tell us anything you want. You don't have to, but if you want to. And it carries on. Why did you leave? How distressing was it? Who did you lose? And so on. And there's another text box. What the relationships were like with people that you've lost, and so on. Talks about rites of passage, which may or may not be relevant to you. Did you leave on your own or with a larger group of people? And so on. And about losses again. But as you can see, there are text boxes scattered throughout. Now we come to another pitfall. Unfortunately, the way the survey is set up, the way the platform is set up, we can't get, see it says here on a scale of 1 to 10, we can't get all 10 numbers here. So the survey automatically adds in a scale to slide. So if you want one of the higher numbers, you'll have to slide the scale to the right. I recommend not using your fingers on the touchpad on your laptop or wherever, but because if you do that, you could actually accidentally swipe the whole thing away. I did that once. It's quite easily done. And this one as well, you have to slide to the right, and the next one. And later on, you'll find more like that. So please do be careful and notice that. And so it goes on, lots of questions that are mostly self-explanatory. Then it asks you about a study carried out back in 2010, 2012. You may not have been part of it. If you were, you need to answer these questions. And then we ask you to create a code. You might well say to me, what's the code for? Good question. You may want to withdraw. Having submitted your questionnaire, you might want to withdraw afterwards, which you're entitled to do. But the only way you'll be able to do that is if you make up a code here and then keep it in a safe place and let us know what your code is, because we don't get your names at all. We don't get any information about you other than what you actually put in the survey. So that's one reason. Or actually, a couple of people have emailed me afterwards and said they can't remember if they clicked on this or that, and could I check for them? If they give me the code, I can do that. If there's no code, I can't. I hope that's clear. And here I put an important message about stopping and returning later, just to remind you of what to do, being sure to copy and paste the URL that pops up carefully. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet is the fact that there are previous buttons. You can actually go back right the way through the whole survey if you want to change something. And it doesn't lose what you're doing when you do that. Doesn't lose the subsequent responses, I mean. Right, now we come to more sort of formal questionnaires, moving away from demographics and biographics. Please note, this is a snapshot of you in time right now. So it's during the past 7 days. Maybe you had a headache, maybe you didn't. I did, but it wasn't bad. So I'm going to click moderately. Okay. Did I feel nervous or shaky in the last 7 days? I did a bit. There are a few things worrying me at the moment. So it really is a snapshot of now. The next one illustrates perhaps a pitfall that's been brought up by a couple of people. It is in the nature of the questionnaires, which we have not made up. These are published questionnaires. This is how they are written. So this one says, it is hard for me to join in on groups. Yeah, a little bit. It's hard for me to be assertive with another person. Maybe a little bit. It's hard for me to make friends. Oh yeah, quite a lot. But as you scroll up, it is hard for me to disappears. So you need to keep checking. It is hard for me to socialize with other people, show affection to people, and so on. So you need to just keep reminding yourself. The next section in this questionnaire is easier because it has full questions. I fight with people too much. Me? No, not at all. And so on, okay? Now, is there anything else that I have forgotten? Yes, no, I think that's it, because it just carries on now with the other scales. And as I said, right at the end, you get a text box to write down anything you like. And if you have any problems or any queries, please do email me. I'm quite good at getting back to you. So I will, within 2 or 3 days, I will be able to answer your question. And if you want to share anything else with us, that's also fine. Just send us an email. I hope that is super clear, and I look forward to seeing your questionnaires appear. Of course, I won't know that they're yours, but it will all be, I can promise you, extremely helpful. Thank you for listening.